forward to this part, I'll share with you how simple it is to access your cloud resources using the Infinity workspace, right? And on this tab, I have a demo environment which is running on an IONOS cloud data center. The portal, this is mostly for the SMBs and MSPs.
Yep.
All the portal can be white labeled and customized, right?
Okay.
So you can put your own identity for your employees, or if you're an MSP, you can put your own identity and put your services there outside for your customers,
I'm with you.
right? Meaning you can build your own desktop as a service solution or your application as a service solution, right? The interface is really streamlined. Basically, you just access the URL. And you can log in either with a username and password or with a single sign-on, right? In this case, I'm logging in basically with the Office 365 account. The Infinity can integrate with any IDP, internal or external, to IONOS. So the domain doesn't have to be running on the IONOS cloud. You can use external domains, federated users.
Yep.
You can use external identity providers for enforcing two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication.
I'm with you.
So all of those are seamless integrations. We can build them for you, or you can just configure them yourself, depending on which side of the table are you. If you're an MSP, you probably have the leverage to do it because it's pretty simple and built in.
Sure.
If you're an SMB, we can do it for you.
Sure. Okay.
And get you up and running pretty fast. Once you're in the portal, this is kind of like an admin view. Each one of these icons, we call it access profiles, right? Each one represents a virtual machine. And Infinity gives you the ability to load entire desktop experience, right, on virtual environments. Like in this case, I'm accessing a machine in the IONOS data center. As you see, I'm just from the browser, I'm accessing the whole virtual environment here.
Sure.
I have a desktop here, over here. Like I mentioned to you before, everything is clientless, so you only have a URL on your browser side, and then from here you can manage all your user interactions like printing, scanning, everything that is related to your end user device, right? The other alternative on the experience is, and this is very useful for MSPs, the ability to open remote apps, right? Sorry, I don't have the credentials on that one. Basically, you can open any application as a single app.
Sure.
As you saw there, it was kind of like kicking me off because I didn't have the right credentials. That's one of the advantages of the Infinity. Is zero trust by default. So you kind of like control every movement on the end user side. So you cannot scale or do lateral movements on the resources. The whole goal of the solution is either you can have a full virtual desktop experience and just send your users to the final desktop, and that's it, right? Or you can create entire workspaces using multiple remote apps for the users, and use Infinity as a web application gateway to access both internal remote apps and VDI remote apps, both in multiple IONOS data centers, or if you have any, for example, web application that you have hosting an IIS server in IONOS, you can also make it a part of the workspace. And this increases the security and reduce the internet exposure of these applications, right? So everything goes basically encrypted end-to-end in a TLS 1.3 tunnel, right? And the user can switch resources from one to the other in a really simple way, and is extremely fluent in that regard.
Excellent. Yeah.
Basically, when I log into the service, as I was mentioned before, right, we replace the Microsoft broker and gateway. So basically, what it gives you is the ability to enforce role-based permissions for each user. So, for example, in this case, if I go to log in with another user, there is basically a simple user that will have just access to one resource, right? I can make it do the 2 steps, or you can also go straight forward to the desktop, right? And perform as a traditional VDI thin client, right?
Okay.
So each time the user logs in, the system will validate the credentials against the IDP, which can be an Active Directory, could be an external IDP,
Yep.
could be whatever you want, even an SQL database if you manage your users that way. And it will only show the resources that user has availability to,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of like the goal. So leaving aside the user experience, the other important item on the Infinity, I'm logging in as an admin right now, so you can see it, is on the same user interface as you see, right? If you're logging in as an admin, you can see every resource that is
Yep.
available on that environment. And as an admin, you have access to the analytics part. We give you a whole overview of what the end users are doing, right? With sessions, with
Yep.
resources. From the moment the user hits the landing page, you get a full log on everything. Basically, we have a brute force detection. You can define if the users are, how many times they can, I don't know, put their credentials wrong. You can identify if
Right.
there are users logged in.
Sure.
You can even kick users off if you want to. You get statistics on usage, on type of application,
Uh-huh.
type of profiles, credentials, everything from a single pane of glass here, right? Even what browsers, what IPs, you can whitelist and blacklist IPs if you want to, if you see some,
Sure.
you know, weird behavior. And you get a full log on the file transfers. So if you allow your users to upload files or download files from the remote machine, you can get a full list here of what they have been doing, right? To prevent any type of lateral movement or any type of ransomware infection or
I'm
things
with
like
you.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Sure.
The other important part is you can record every action, right? This is optional, right? But for some privileged sessions or even for standard working, you can record all the remote desktop sessions, right? And
Yep.
reproduce them if necessary. And last but not least, what we were talking before, the Infinity gives you the ability to integrate natively with the IONOS data center. So basically, it's not only about accessing existing machines in IONOS, right? But also about provisioning the full VDI models, right? So to put it in context, you can create a template. These are some examples that I have, right? Like this is a Cybele, which is one of the IONOS standard machines, or this is an enterprise server with some uh, specifications in RAM and vCPUs.
Mhm.
Basically, you upload here a template, which is a Terraform template, right? That we have a lot of examples on how to create these machines, right? If you're an SMB, we can do it for you. But the whole goal is that you can pre-create the environments, right? Each one of these ones will represent a certain role in a BDI environment, right? And then you can define on the deployment part, on the VDI model part, you can define how it will be provisioned, right?
Mhm.
So we were talking before about simplicity in terms of cost managing, about scaling fast and automating the both, right, the usage and the escalation. So the Infinity, with a simple set of options, allows you to provision the machines on demand, or it allows you to provision the machines based on certain periods of time, right? So if you have a workforce that uses the BDI, I don't know, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and you have, I don't know, 20 users, right? You can start the provisioning at 8:30 on Monday and shut down the machines at 6:30 on Friday,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
This will both leverage the usage, but also reduce your cloud expense and optimize the expenditures that you have on those environments,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also reducing the risk of any type of attack or things like that, right? Because you are basically making the resources inaccessible
Yeah.
during
Indeed.
those periods.
Indeed.
I don't want to go too deep into the weeds here, but basically you can customize based on whatever you want, right?
Okay.
Schedule, usage, concurrent sessions, number of data centers, whatever you want, you can just pre-create it and then define how it will behave based on the usage,
Excellent.
right?
Excellent. Okay.
And last but not least, you get a full view of all of your IONOS instances from here. So if you see here, this is the equivalent to what I have in my IONOS data center, right? So basically, you can manage and create the machines in the IONOS data center from the Infinity without having to leave the portal. Kind of like the idea of this is for the SMBs that maybe don't have enough knowledge about how to set up a full data center, how to set up a VM deployment and things like that. It's kind of like making it even simpler for them, where you can just have everything pre-created,
Yeah.
and with a start and stop button, you can define which machines will be created, destroyed, or start or stop.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Excellent. Good. Yes. Super.
So, David, you asked a question or made a comment earlier in the presentation about the fit between our partnership, and I think what we just heard and what Leo kind of explained and kind of backs what Seth mentioned earlier is between CybleSoft and IONOS, what you're going to consistently hear and experience is easily deployable, performant, secure, and observable. When we speak about observable, you're not only having the ability to observe your cost impacts and your cost structure based on utilization and consumption, but you're also able to observe performance through monitoring metrics on both the infrastructure side as well as the deployment side as you build out your environments. And I think one mention that was not discussed here is taking the infrastructure piece that we have, and Leo nicely walked you through how Infinity can be used to even simplify even more the deployment of the infrastructure. But now CybleSoft takes it to the next level to where you can deploy non-IONOS workloads. You can use this as virtual integration throughout all of your workspace needs. I expect, Leo. Is that correct?
It is. You can, from this same VDI manager, you can have non-IONOS workloads as well. I mean, it is built natively with IONOS, but you can also deploy other major clouds or on-premise deployments, right? And I can go to a diagram here that it kind of like explains a bit the idea.
Indeed.
But basically, leveraging the Infinity portal, which is living on the IONOS cloud, right? Then you can have access to all of the resources in multi or hybrid clouds without leaving the Infinity portal, right? So you can provision your machines in IONOS, right, data center A, but you can also have resources in data center B, which could be a co-location or it could be a private cloud or any other major clouds. And you can also access your office physical resources, right? All without leaving the same the single pane of glass of this, right? Gives you full control. This resource could be in IONOS, this other one could be in your office. For the end user is transparent, and the most important part for the admin is also transparent, right? It centralizes everything and it gives you control and security over all the workflows.
And that's the point, David, that I mentioned earlier about a multi-cloud strategy and how collectively IONOS and CybleSoft were supporting that endeavor. Often we hear and we find through our engagements that many of the SMBs are beholden to the hyperscalers or a particular technology only because they don't have access to the resources. However, as they start to expand and grow their infrastructure footprint, they're going to need those points of integrations and the ability to access multiple locations, multiple workload types, and multiple types of disparate or bespoke systems. And we believe that through this partnership, we give them the ability to have that single pane of glass, not only from an infrastructure perspective through IONOS, but also through Infinity and being able to access and then and manage and then support those other infrastructure.
Well, yeah, thanks for that, Leo. I think that's ideal. I think that's a great way of explaining how all of this stuff sort of fits together. And also, again, just use that word. It's the simplicity of how to be able to build these virtual machines, switch them off, switch them on. Co-location, as you were mentioning, Mark, very powerful. You can build bespoke systems with all of these tools. I think you've got a final slide, Leo, which you'd like to show us, which actually looks at the actual architecture, which I think is very interesting, just to sort of finish us off, just to give us an idea of, I guess, how all that sort of hangs together. So if you could put that slide up for us, I think that would be a very interesting one to just have a quick sort of chat about before we close.
Yes, of course, David. Let me just move here. Basically, as we were mentioning the whole time, right? The whole point of our this partnership is to create a simple integrated solution, right? That is easy to leverage,
Absolutely.
both for SMBs and MSPs. The Infinity architecture is extremely simple but scalable,
Yeah.
right? So it's simple but powerful. So as you were saying, the whole conversation as well, right? One thing doesn't take the other away.
No.
And so our architecture is really simple. And this is a multi-tenant software. So we basically, for each customer, we leverage what we call the Infinity Portal, right? Which basically has two components running in IONOS Cloud. One is the Infinity Gateway, which is a proprietary technology that basically enables reverse connections to all the other components within the architecture, right? Without going too deep into the weeds, basically, this is the only part that needs to be accessible from the internet, right? All the rest, you have no footprint in the internet, not the data centers, not the IONOS resources, not the on-premise resources. Everything is kind of like shut down. You don't have to open any inbound port to access those resources, which is a huge advantage in terms of security and control.
Indeed.
And so the architecture is really simple. The gateway will take all the incoming traffic. Then the broker is basically the orchestrated, is kind of like the one that summarizes all the roles that we were discussing earlier, right? All the traditional roles on VDI, they are all summarized on a single service, which is called the Infinity Broker, which manage identity integration, virtualization, provisioning. It also manage all the integrations with the virtualization part in terms of accessing multiple resources, right? From there, you just need to install what we call secondary brokers, which is the network part of each resource, which can be run in IONOS, of course, right? Or can be running on different other clouds like colocations or other public clouds, or on-premise resources, right? So from there, what you will do is leverage a reverse connection to the broker, and once they are connected, you can manage and deploy and access, of course, those resources from the Infinity Portal.
Absolutely.
Right? What gives you is a really scalable infrastructure, right? This is a simplified version of a worldwide infrastructure where all of your users will access a single portal. You have redundancy and you have high availability on each component, right? Also running in IONOS. But basically, every user will get redirected based on role-based permissions to the right resources, which could be BDI, virtual applications, or physical applications.
Sure.
Exactly. And you can centrally manage everything from the Infinity Broker.
Excellent.
Which is the important
Well,
part.
that's amazing. I think that's like kind of says it all. That's how you can build these systems very, very simply. I think it's a win-win for small businesses who are trying to do more with less. They're trying to build architecture which works well for them. Obviously, they're looking at cost. They're looking at how this is going to be flexible for them. Can we build this? Can we stay with this system and it will expand? Absolutely, it will. I think for small businesses, these kinds of systems are ideal for them because they want to be agile. They want to develop very, very quickly if that's on their roadmap. And they want systems to support that, and I think that's all absolutely available from you guys. Unfortunately, guys, we've come to the end of our time for this one. I think that's absolutely flown by, but that's been a fascinating conversation about how IONOS and Cybele Software together, they are absolutely partners for small businesses. I think that's something that is, I think we need to get over. That if you're looking to innovate, you're looking to, I guess, be kind of different and want something that's personalized, that has transparency with cost, etc., that will build and will expand as you want to with your business. These kinds of services are ideal for you. Well, IONOS does invite you to think beyond the hyperscalers. I think that's kind of what we're trying to get over here by offering personalized and dedicated client engagement. Really, it's about simplicity. It's about that drop and drag interface, building these systems just for your business. So if you do want to learn more about how IONOS can help you to do that with the cloud services they provide, and of course with their partners like Cybele Software, please do visit cloud.ionos.com for more information. Well, until the next time, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Mark. And it's goodbye from Seth.
Thank you, David.
And of course, it's goodbye from Leo.
Thank you, David.
Again, thanks for everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.